What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. And you see who's on the screen. My buddy Johnny. You know, the other day, I don't know if you guys saw, I had Johnny on live with us the other day. He decided to bless us with his presence. And Johnny said that he's working on trying to start his own channel. Applause for that. He should. But he said that as soon as he does, that at least once a week he's gonna dedicate a whole show to making fun of me. He said, because I've been tearing him up. So with Johnny shooting the first shot as far as with the threat, here we are with another Johnny video. I just started this randomly here because I know I had, from what I saw, I had watched some of this video already. I don't know if I reacted to it. So we're going to start here. We're going to take a little ride with Johnny, see where he takes us, and I'm sure it'll be fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, man.
When I got home, the bus pulls up, and lo and behold, he gets off.
He hits us with the lo and behold right from the jump. Johnny, you need to trademark that.
With no fucking shoes on.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? So when I seen that, I knew that rock cocaine was a very serious fucking drug. Don't get me wrong, I smoked it before, and I went on 6 months runs with rock cocaine. But the thing about it was is that to come out of my shoes would kind of make me feel like I was at the bottom. I mean, I'm not way up there or way down there. I'm right at the middle, I figure. But to give up my shoes so that I can get high for 15 minutes, you know, your shoes you can have for months, but that drug's only going to be there 15 minutes.
See, Johnny is a man with morals. You know, even in his addiction, in an addictive cycle, he understands that you got to keep your shoes on. But he's not gonna just see. This is what I tell people: when you grow up around drugs and you grow up around heroin, you grow up around heroin addicts. Myself, I never did heroin. I've never used a needle in my life. You know, no disrespect to anybody who has, but when you grow up around that type of life, you learn there's a difference between like a tecato and a dolphin. A dolphin will steal from their mother, their sister, their kids, anybody, and give up their shoes, as this guy's saying, as Johnny's saying. So Johnny is by no means is Johnny a dolphin. So let's keep going.
And when my homie gave up his shoes, like I said, that showed me that drugs can do a lot of bad, weird, and fucked up things to people. You know what I mean? I've seen it do where my homie was selling his old lady in the hood. He was selling his old lady to my homies. Now, this was his wife. They had 3 kids. I walked up there and he's like, "What's up, homie? You know, you want next?" And I'm like, "Next where?" So I looked around the corner. I seen a little shack, and I seen his old lady hanging onto the window and my homie behind her doing the deed. And I was like, wait a minute, this is my older homie. You know, he's supposed to show me what time it is in the hood, and he's over here just because he's fucking with speedballs, heroin, and coke. He's selling his wife on the streets. You know what I mean? And I was like, wait up, what the fuck? 2 weeks later, I come back, his daughter is slinging her shit for dope. Now, the dad and the daughter, they both slam heroin, but the mom only did crystal meth and cocaine. But I remember I seen the mom getting slanged by the dad, and then I seen the daughter selling her body. The father was there, he knew what was going on, but he wasn't saying shit.
Damn.
To me, you know what I mean? Like I said, drugs do a lot of bad things, but to get you to sell your own wife or to sell your own daughter on the streets for drugs, I mean, you gotta be way at the bottom of the fucking bucket. Because,
True story.
you know, my homegirl, don't get me wrong, she was very, very pretty, you know what I mean? And I used to be with her before, then I seen her after, and when I seen her out there slinging her ass, I was like, you don't gotta do this, you know what I mean? You don't gotta do this. You could sit up at the homie's pad and sling dope, you know what I mean? Why are you doing this? She said, oh, the money's a lot easier, it's a lot faster, it comes a lot quicker. I said, yeah, but you don't get to choose who you're gonna be with. I mean, this nasty, smelly, ugly motherfucker could come, and just to get the money, you're gonna let him do, or you're gonna do to him what you wouldn't do if you were on drugs, but just to get the money faster. You know, me, myself, you know what I mean? To be a prostitute and be a woman, I mean, that's the only thing that stamps in my mind. What about your John? What about your client? You know, he's not gonna be Casanova or Romeo. They're always not gonna look real good or smell real good. But a woman can still. I ask them, what do you do? Do you put a block up there? Do you black yourself out? I mean, how do you do it? I said because I couldn't see myself just laying with anybody in a bed for any fucking amount of money. It doesn't matter any amount. And you know, don't get me wrong. I was a young man and I got asked by an individual one time to be with older women and get paid for it. And at first I thought, oh yeah,
Johnny the Gigolo. They asked Johnny to be a gigolo. Put it down. What did Johnny say?
this is all good. You know, we can do this. But then he came up with the rules. He said, you can't hit them. You can't steal from them. You got to do what they ask.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? If you choose not to do something they ask, well, then you don't get paid. And these ladies were paying anywhere from $800 to $1,500 for a whole night. All they wanted was young motherfuckers from like 18 years old to like 25 in that range area. And the dude that was doing it, he was, I don't want to call him a pimp, but the guy that had all the dudes doing this, he was older. He was about 50 years old. Yeah, he drove a nice car. He had nice clothes. He always had dope, money, and cigarettes. But he was the one with everything. All these other dudes, yeah, they had $300-400, but they didn't have what he had. You know what I mean? And I used to talk to him all the time. Sometimes he would come over to my house in the morning because he was on me. He was on me where he wanted me. I guess an older lady had seen me. He was with an older lady that had seen me, and she had asked about me. So he was on me and on me because this lady had a lot of money. He wanted me to go over there and entertain this lady. And I was like, okay, what is entertainment? I mean, does she want to just sit there and talk, you know, by a candlelit fire, or does she want to eat dinner? Or...
He said a candlelit fire. Look at Johnny.
Go out somewhere nice, you know. What does this lady want? He's like, well, anything she asks, just abide by it, and you know, everything will go cool. I said, nah, go man. You know, if I roll over there and there's an old ass lady and she's like 70 years old and everything's just hanging and looking off, I can't see myself coming to share myself with this woman. You know what I
mean? So Johnny said, I can't see myself sharing myself. Look at Johnny's a romantic. Hey, that's right, big dog.
I found it hard for a prostitute or anything in that area, but when the drugs are involved, that masks everything out, you know, because I noticed when I used to drink and get high, I'd see a girl sitting there and she didn't look too good. But every time I took like 2 or 3 drinks and took another hit, it's like she started just shrinking, you know, and getting more, you know, her body started filling out, her boobs looked bigger, her face looked prettier, and I was like, wow, she's just getting better and better with every drink. So of course I'm trying to kill the whole bottle, you know. And in my head I'm thinking, I'm gonna stay with this broad all night. Wake up in the morning, turn around, oh my God, what did I do? But that's
you shared yourself with the monster, fool. Johnny said the more he drank, the better she looked. So he's trying to kill a whole bottle. Gee,
drugs and alcohol, you know, it fucks up your train of thought. You know what I mean? From me using drugs for like about 35 years now, I know that it fucks up your train of thought and fucks up your mind a lot, because when I took the time out and stopped doing drugs, there was like 5 years where all the things I learned in the past came back. Everything I had picked up along the way had came back. A lot of the memories that I had lost had came back. My speech was even 10 times better. I used to speak where I used to correct motherfuckers in their speech. You know what I mean? And a lot of people thought I was an asshole because I used to correct you in your speech. If you said something wrong, I would tell you properly how to say it. And then, but the way I said it, I sounded like an asshole. And that was my thing. If I wasn't doing drugs, I was a totally different person. I was a straight asshole. People didn't like me because of the fact that if you did drugs, I just didn't fuck with you. And you know, yeah, you may be my homie, I've known you all my life, but if you did drugs, I just stayed away, because I knew if I got close, my flesh is so weak, I'm gonna get high. You put it in front of me, I'm gonna do it. That's just the way I used to get high.
A man has to know his limitations, and Johnny knew his. Whoa, I didn't mean to stop it right there. I always catch people in funny faces on when I pause it. But yeah, man has to know his limitations. Otherwise, the last video I did with Rebecca, you see Rebecca, that guy was completely lost.
So I backed up, and when I backed up, I noticed that once I stopped doing drugs, man, my mind became so on point that I used to observe things that I didn't observe before. Small
Uh-oh.
things like
Uh-oh.
when you
Else.
do heroin,
Oh.
you don't smell the roses, you don't smell flowers, you don't smell trees,
What?
you don't smell.
Who smells trees? Johnny, let me find out you hug a tree and just be like,
Everything. It blocks off a lot of your senses. And the roses were the one thing I thought about because the girl had asked me, smell this rose. And I went to smell the rose and I'm like, fuck, what kind of rose is that? It doesn't even smell. She's like, what are you talking about? We're around roses. It smells nothing but roses here. I couldn't smell one rose. And that's because of the fact that I was using a drug that masked that off. So I could imagine all the other things that I blocked out. Just that small thing meant a lot to me because when I stopped using drugs, anywhere I walked, I would smell anything. I would smell the purple flowers on the trees, the roses, oranges, you know what I mean? Everything I would smell. And, you know, people don't look at it like that, but drugs take a lot from you. They just don't take it. They take your teeth, they take your weight, you know what I mean? They fuck your skin up, you know what I mean? Leave you marks, you know what I mean? And, I continue to do it. And sometimes, I'd be leaking everywhere. And I'm just going to say it because I'm right here. I give the real. I never come in here and bullshit anybody. I'd be leaking from everywhere. My arms, my neck. I'd be blood everywhere. And I'm still trying to find a vein. And guys are like, hey, homie, let me hit you. No. I don't want you touching me. I seen you hit last time and motherfucker was walking all over with a ball this big on his neck. Just because some guys will tell you, oh, yeah, I can hit you. And they just want to do it so they can get high with you. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I remember that a lot of fools used to ask me, hey, homie, get me high. You know what I mean? And I've gotten a lot of people high. A few guys have asked me, hey, man, can you give me some of that? And I looked at them like, some of what? Like, some of that, right? You don't even use heroin. You want? No, I cannot. Years after I've seen this guy and he tell me, hey, man, thank you. I remember that day when I wanted to use heroin, Johnny, and you told me, nah, man, because I don't give that to nobody. I don't wish that upon anybody. I don't offer nobody. I've had multiple people ask me, hey, man, hit me, man. Give me a little bit, man. And I told them no, and they got.
I told a story one time about a cellie I had in prison, and we were cellies. It was one of my first cellies in New Folsom. And he got some dope, and he asked me, hey, you slam? And I told him, no, I don't get high. And he's like, oh, all right. He said, I always like to give people their very first slam. And I told him why. And he said, because it'll ruin their life the way mine got ruined. And I was like, yeah. In my head, I was like, fuck this guy. I didn't like him.
Got upset. And in my mind, I was thinking, damn, you don't even know what you're getting upset about. You know what I mean? If you only knew what the fuck you were going to go through within the next year or two, you wouldn't even ask me to hit you. And a guy told me, hey, you'll be all right as long as you don't learn how to hit yourself. As long as you got other people hitting you, you're cool. Once you learn how to inject on, you're done. And the guy was absolutely correct. Once you learn how to hit yourself, well, then you don't need anybody anymore. Before you needed homie to pick it up, you a homie to hit you because, you don't know what you're doing. But once you learn, it's all bad from that point. What I mean all bad from that point is you don't need anybody else. You can just go pick it up. And what's really fucked up is you're alone. And when you're alone, if you overdose, there's no way anybody's gonna bring you back because no one's there. I think I've OD'd maybe twice without even knowing it, but luckily I woke up. One time I woke up on the toilet. I had been sitting there for maybe 5 hours. My legs were asleep, everything. And I was sitting there for 5 hours with the rig hanging out of my arm. I just imagine after if my wife or my grandmother or somebody would have came in the bathroom and found me dead in there, well, how would that affect them? But I wasn't even thinking about it like that. I just laughed it off. When I told them about it, I was just laughing about it. Another time, I got so lucky that I went and got it, and I got it from some young white kid, and he tells me, hey, man, just do half, dog, because you'll fucking go out. And I'm like, yeah, that's what all these motherfuckers say. This young white dude don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I went home, hooked up less than half. As soon as I put it in and I pulled out, the only words that I could come out of my mouth was I was telling my girlfriend, get the Narcan. That's all I told her, get the Narcan, that's all I remember. She said she hit me with the Narcan twice. When I came to, I was walking, throwing a ball in my hand. Not, she hit me and I got up and remember where I was. No, nothing like that. I got up, I was I was kicking it. I walked down the hallway. I went and sat down and I said, wait a minute. I just fucking slammed. Why ain't I high? Why am I not fucking high? So she walks back in the room. She's like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what happened? She's like, oh, I hit you with Narcan. As soon as she said that, within 10 seconds, I was fucking dripping sweat. My stomach hurt. My fucking head was throbbing.
Sick.
About fucking 10 seconds ago, I was okay. I was normal. But the drugs are so fucking caught up in your head that mainly it was in my mind. That drug was in my mind. I felt automatically sick. And I knew in my head that I couldn't do no more heroin because it wouldn't affect me, because once they give you Narcan, heroin doesn't affect you no more. So I went up and got the rest of the heroin that was left, more than half, hooked it up and went all with it. Now I just OD'd on the last part of it. I did the rest, boom, and when I did it, nothing. I didn't feel no rush, I didn't feel no heat, I didn't feel my stomach, I didn't feel shit. It was like I didn't do nothing. So I wasted that. So I'm thinking, what the fuck am I gonna do? Well, I remember that the homie said, you gotta go to sleep. So that's what I did. I went to sleep. I woke up about 6 hours later, got up and went and did the same thing. Went and picked up some more and went and did the same dope that I had just OD'd on. Now, that's a sick way of thinking, because if I'm getting high.
I remember being in the joint and, I would, I used to get very, very strong dope. And I used to have to tell people, like, I would ask them, they would come by for me. And if I didn't know them, I'd be like, hey, Holmes, you know what you're doing though, right? Because if you don't, test it first. Don't go with all of it. And there were dudes that would buy from me that had been buying from me that were, that got those for years. And, they would OD. And I remember one time my Sally OD'd on me. He was my tester. He OD'd. And as soon as he woke up, he's like, let me get another shot. And I always tripped out on that because I had dudes that would be in the building with me and they would OD. And as soon as they would wake up, they'd be like, let me get a shot, homie. Let me buy another one. And I was like, what? Like, fool, you're almost dead right now. But, that's to some people, especially in prison. I mean, Tecatos, period. They're going to get back on that horse. You know what I mean? But I think in prison, it's more like, I'd rather do that than this life sentence. I don't know. I never slammed, but damn, it's crazy.
And I almost end my life. Why would I do something again knowing the fucking outcome? They say that's part of being insane.
Absolutely.
Insanity, that you're crazy. That's what I was figuring, because I did the same thing thinking I was gonna get a different result, and the same thing was happening. Dealing drugs. Everybody thinks, oh man, I'm a sling, until I get this certain number, then I'm gonna stop. No, once you hit that certain fucking number, then you think of another number.
Absolutely.
Now there's more dope to get involved in, because you meet people, you network, and everybody is trying to step on everybody else as you're going up. And believe me, I've been where there's a lot of dope. I've been where there's a little bit of dope. I've been where there's a lot of money, a little bit of money. But the thing about it is that
it's never enough.
With the dope, when you get so deep in the game, like sometimes money is irrelevant. Because now you're deep in the game and you're switching, you're giving them, trading them this for that. And, it's so fucking hard of a job. People have a 9 to 5. Well, doing drugs is like a 9 to 5, because you have to wake up early in the morning. You have to find the motherfucker that has it. You have to make sure it's good. You have to make sure he ain't burning you for your money. You know what I mean? All that build up to one. You got to walk probably 3 fucking hours to get to where you got to go. And you're going to walk, believe me. You're going to walk, I've driven where I've been so fucked up. Well, I wrecked into somebody right in front of me. Boom.
Hold on, Johnny. You said you have a perfect driving record.
And I don't even remember hitting them. I just came out, hey, man, I apologize. I'm sorry. That's because I was so high and I nodded out, and I hit somebody from behind. Thinking. And then another time, I wasn't high. I was sick. I needed to get high. And I fucking back into somebody, just hit them right in the back. And every minute seemed like an hour. It seemed so bad that I would dread waking up the next day. When you use.
We're going to go ahead and end this here. This wasn't one of the typical funny Johnny ones. This is actually a look into the world of dope for those of you that have never been in it. This is real life. You see he's talking about a family, a mother and daughter prostituting themselves in order to get high. You hear him drinking a whole bottle to make a woman look attractive, and then in the morning being like, but anyways, yeah, that's just a glimpse, man. And then those that were in that life that caught up in a cycle of addiction and were able to get away from it, then I'm sure none of this feels good to you or sounds good to you, and you're glad you don't have to deal with it no more. So anyways, that's the video for today. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, right? I'm out.